On behalf of the roughly 3,500 members of the Florida Engineering Society, also known as FES, and the 340 firms comprising the Florida Institute of Consulting Engineers, also known as FICE, thank you for your interest in the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act, or CCNA for short. Some of you may be more familiar with the term Qualifications-Based Selection, or QBS. Both CCNA and QBS will be discussed in this presentation. There are many important benefits to adhering to CCNA. Perhaps the most important benefits to public sector entities are that the law reduces the opportunity of favoritism and it can inspire public confidence. By following a uniform set of procedures and maintaining proper documentation, the process can withstand accusations of impropriety and ethical challenges. To whom does CCNA apply? CCNA applies to services provided by engineers, surveyors, architects, and landscape architects. CCNA also applies to services produced by all Florida governmental agencies for studies where compensation is greater than $35,000 and where construction cost is greater than $325,000. CCNA also applies for continuing contracts where study-related costs are less than $200,000 and when construction costs are less than $2 million. While there have been numerous challenges to CCNA over the years, Florida's governing bodies, as well as the Attorney General's office, have largely supported the spirit of the law and have repeatedly defended CCNA from amendments that would have weakened the law. A recent example of this was the AG's 2010 formal opinion that professional firms under continuing contracts shall not be required to bid against each other. Why use CCNA? There are many good reasons. Besides being required by law for nearly 40 years, it allows the owner to select the most qualified firm. It also strengthens the team relationship between owner and consultant and encourages innovation. Further, CCNA prevents instances where an owner may be handcuffed to selecting the low bidder. This helps protect the public from the myriad of abuses that can be associated with the low bid system, and many times provides a life cycle savings for a project. If you find yourself asking the question, is CCNA something new? The answer may surprise you. The Federal Brooks Law of 1972 laid the groundwork for Florida's version in 1973. You may be unsure whether or not RFP violates CCNA. An example of a CCNA violation would be if your solicitation requests billing rates, fee schedules, or proposal costs. This also includes lump sum amounts and any manner of requesting pricing. If you have any questions regarding language included in your solicitation, please contact the Florida Engineering Society at 850-224-7121, and we would be pleased to assist you. If you find yourself asking, why not use low bid? After all, the project seems straightforward and simple enough that anyone can do it. But in the end, there is no substitute for hiring the most experienced and qualified professionals to complete your project. Finding this out the hard way can be much more expensive than you could imagine. It may turn out that your efforts to use a low bidder will cost your agency significant expense over the life of the project, not to mention it could jeopardize quality and safety. And you may find this out at the most inopportune time. It is important to understand that all projects are different, and that each project requires a unique approach. Having the most skilled and experienced design professionals on your team will help ensure a quality project. Selecting the most qualified design professionals is quite simple. It all starts with you, the owner, defining the scope and schedule of the project. You then issue an RFP, evaluate the respondents' qualifications, shortlist the most qualified firms, and interview and rank the firms. Once you've selected the top-ranked consultant, the firm provides a fee proposal based on the mutually agreed-upon scope. If the fee is unacceptable, you and the firm work together to modify the scope, schedule, and budget. If an agreement cannot be reached, the negotiations are ended and you begin negotiations with the next most qualified firm. If possible, those firms not selected always appreciate your feedback so that improvements to their proposals and presentations can be made for future efforts. To reiterate, why select your consultant based on qualifications? Potential life cost savings, strengthening of your relationship with your design team, it promotes innovation, it can reduce project changes, it allows for flexibility in the project approach, and you are inviting competition amongst best performers, not amongst the lowest bidders. There are some common misconceptions surrounding CCNA and QBS. First, many believe that price can no longer be considered during selection. The fact is that price is a factor only during negotiations with the most qualified firm. Many also believe that the QBS/CCNA selection process is a waste of taxpayer money. The truth is that low bid is more expensive due to change orders, high project maintenance costs, and higher life of project costs. And, cost considerations aside, projects designed using the most experienced professionals typically are of higher quality and are safer for the public. Lastly, opponents of QBS/CCNA argue that projects for which professional services were procured under this process takes longer to complete. Again, the truth is the contrary. QBS promotes an atmosphere of teamwork, thus facilitating completion of the project. Now you may be asking yourself, what is the difference between QBS and CCNA? The answer is simply that QBS refers to the federal procurement process of professional services, while CCNA refers to the state of Florida's process of procuring similar services. Both CCNA and QBS require at least 3 firms be evaluated for a project or contract, and that negotiations begin with the most qualified firm. Similar to local challenges to CCNA, the QBS process is frequently challenged. The American Council of Engineering Companies, or ACEC, continues to help thwart such efforts by educating federal lawmakers of the importance of selecting the most qualified engineers, surveyors, and architects. More information can be found at www.acec.org/advocacy and www.FLENG.org/FICE/FICELEGIS.CFM, or simply by calling FES at 850-224-7121, and we remain available to speak to your group or organization on this topic.